Hey y'all, hope you're doing well today. So in today's message, we're going to bring to light an important secret. And it's even something that used to be discussed back when I was in my teaching days amongst the teachers. So we're going to talk about it, we're going to expand on it, and hopefully it'll just be encouraging and inspiring for you. And I just hope that it gets the wheels turning as always. Please feel free to filter everything I share with you all through your own lens, your own perception, belief structure, all of that. So I hope that it can be beneficial for you. All right, so I don't know what got me to thinking about this the other day, but if you have watched my previous videos, I did this whole series on the book Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, one of my most favorite books of all time. And she's an incredible cantadora, right? An incredible storyteller, and she shares a lot of myths and folklore, fairy tales that have been passed down through the oral tradition throughout generations, right? And so her background is really interesting, the author of that book. She so a lot of the stories have like Hungarian, like a mixture of different backgrounds. So you have like Mexican, Hungarian, I think there's like 4 or 5 others that mixed together. I can't think right in the spur of the moment, but the stories are just really rich and incredible. I just encourage you very much, if you haven't seen that series that I did, I just invite you to take a look at it. And furthermore, whether you have or haven't, I just encourage you to look into possibly getting the book if you have interest, because it's this is one of those things that's like a treasure when you find it, because you realize that it's like schooling for your spiritual maturity, right? It's these stories, what's preserved in the parables and the metaphor of these stories is so important to us in our life's journey. It's just totally different and so much more, you might say. It's just more than what could ever be offered in your standard school classroom. So I just highly encourage you to take a look at that. And I bought some new books. I can't wait to share them with you. I'm going to show you at the end of the presentation today. But I was thinking about there's a story in that book where this young girl has a pair of red shoes. They're handmade red shoes, and her handmade red shoes symbolize, in this particular fairy tale, what she made for herself, right? They're handmade, they're very bright, they may look tattered and worn to others, but to her they're so meaningful and beautiful, and and they're just bright in that manner, right? So the color is really important here. And then what happens is she's manipulated into giving them up and accepting a replacement. Okay, and so this is just such a rich metaphor for what happens to us, you know, just at some point in our life's journey. And so it's kind of like you know, you may hear people throw around the phrase, you know, to become jaded, or to lose your innocence, your childhood sense of wonder, you know, to kind of just lose that somewhere along the path. And what we all wind up finding ourselves with is always subpar. Nothing can replace that initial handmade, special, one-of-a-kind treasure that we all hold inside. And so excuse me, it's a really incredible story. And then what's interesting is the replacement shoes are also red, but they're and they're also acceptable by society, right? But they're toxic for her, because when she puts them on, she like begins to dance compulsively. It's like she has no control, no self-control, and it's just, she's very empty, she's suffering, and she's just caught in this cycle of this compulsive dancing. It's just really rich symbolism and metaphor in this story. You could probably Google it if you don't have the book, but it's called The Red Shoes. And so what's interesting is You know, if you think about it, when this happens to us in our life, and it's so subtle, it's not something that we can always put our finger on. It's not something that we can easily define or determine when this happened. But at some point, if we find ourselves feeling, you know, very alone, despite even being around people or in a relationship, or, you know, just a part of a group that are, you know, these people are supposed to be our friends, but something just feels off. So at some point in our life, there's this spiritual crisis, and it's a point where, you know, and it may not be just this one point in time. It may just be, you know, a period. When I say point, it may be a period of many years where, you know, something just feels off, but you keep going and you just really can't, you know, figure out what's off. But what's happened is those red shoes have been replaced. We've given them up. We've been manipulated to give them up. And because we were manipulated to give them up, it's not like a thief just came along and stole them. It's not like so obvious in that manner, unfortunately, because if it was obvious, then we could, I feel like, work with that easier. But the fact that we were actually manipulated means that we gave them up willingly. And because of that, it's hard. That's what makes it hard to figure out what happened, because it was us, and the manipulation wasn't identified in the moment or over the period of time as manipulation, because we thought we were just doing what we should do in our lives. And so that's how it's cunning, it's underhanded, it's a sleight of hands, it's subtle, it's a clever trick, it's trickery. And so that's what takes so long, is trying to look back and identify, like, what happened. You know, it's like you get to a point in your life where you're like, something has happened, but I don't know what. Something's just off. So essentially what we're dealing with here is sabotage, and it's you know, we could speculate till the cows come home on, you know, what drives a person to do this. And I'm sure that it's really, you know, I never encourage black and white thinking. I think there's definitely a lot of truth to nuance, but I feel like jealousy plays a big part. And so, and it's because there are people who don't have handmade red shoes in this world. There are people who are void of this treasure within, but they can see you have it. It's just like you're just walking around totally, you know, when you're naive, you're walking around totally unaware of the fact that you're just like this bright shining light, and these people who don't have that inside can see you from miles away. And so definitely I believe that jealousy plays a part. I don't know how much, if it's the whole of it or just a big part or what, but you know, when you look at you know, the sins like that are listed, right? And it's not like these are the only, but I don't know if they're called like the 7 deadly sins or whatever it's called, but in religious texts. But you know, envy is right there. It's just another way to say being jealous, right? And I feel like envy is just when I read these off to you, I want you to keep this in your mind, because it's kind of gonna all fit together to in other words, when I've read these before in the past, they all seemed kind of separate. But today, the way I want to present them to you is like they're all kind of fitted together in such a way that it hopefully just kind of pulls some puzzle pieces together for you, okay? So envy is one of those sins that are listed, which is just another way of saying jealousy, okay? Just and so envy is one of many factors that drive a person to sabotage you, okay? And so think about these other three grouped together in your mind with envy. You have greed, lust, and gluttony. So envy, just think about what that means. Greed, lust, and gluttony. Okay, to me, these 4 sins all are kind of in the same little boat. Okay, they're kind of all founded on something. What is that something? To me, it's a mindset of lack. It's a mindset of lack. It's, you're not going to be an envious person unless you're someone who's always looking over there, over the fence, and you're, seeing that the grass is always greener, right? Well, you're only going to think that if you feel like your grass isn't green enough. So it's that mindset of lack. Greed. Greed is where you always want more. You're not going to want more and more and more and more and be greedy in that manner and never satisfied unless you're operating from a mindset of lack or insufficiency, not having enough. Lust, again, it's like an extreme form of desire. And why are you going to have an extreme form of desire in your heart if you don't feel like you don't have enough? If you were satisfied, you wouldn't be lusting. Gluttony, same thing. It's just, and it doesn't have to be food. I know a lot of people associate it with that, but it can be just, glutton with any kind of material things, right? Or even attention. Just wanting more, excessive. Again, a mindset of lack. So then we have the other 3 sins that are listed here. Let's take a look at them. What is the result of a life lived continually from a mindset of lack? Well, you're not a happy person. I can tell you that. You're probably operating more from anger, from resentment, from being bitter. And so I feel like that's very closely aligned with wrath, right? Depending on the level on the spectrum of intensity of how much lack you have in your heart, you perceive in your heart, depending on the intensity of that, would result in the intensity of just, being very resentful and bitter and angry, or possibly even just full of rage or wrath. Okay? And then you have pride. Pride felt kind of out of place here, but not really. Because to me, pride it's like the reward for a person who operates this way from a mindset of lack, who operates from envy and jealousy and greed and gluttony. When they are able to achieve what they perceive to be gaining this other treasure separate from them and pulling that to themselves, then they can't just be ever satisfied and content, right? Then it's kind of like going from rock bottom to just they're just elevated so far up here. They're just full of themselves, and it can be so subtle. It can be detected in these people who are not well. You have to understand these people are not living from a place of balance and logic and reason. But and look, let me just say this: we can all have mood swings. You know what I mean? That's human. So please don't be condemning yourself if any of this is kind of pinging in any part of you or resonating within you. Just please don't. I encourage you not to self-condemn. Okay, we're just learning. That's all we're doing here, and growing, hopefully. But these people are like on the extreme parts of these spectrums, is what I'm saying. So pride is, to me, like an extreme side of the spectrum of contentment. You can have contentment and then happiness and joy, and then just it's so much it could become pride when it's on the negative side of this spectrum. It's kind of like, it reminds me of I've shared with you all this channel, Caroline Myss, MYSS. I hope I'm saying her name right. But she talks about archetypes a lot. She talks about the good and the bad aspects. It's like two different sides of the same coin. That's kind of what I mean when I'm talking about these qualities. You know, like pride could be considered the negative side of the coin of joy. See what I'm saying? So it's just like an excessive amount to the point that it's just very selfish and not good. So there are these people who don't have this internal something or another, which we're going to talk about, this treasure. What's interesting, they want shortcuts. Okay? Let me just kind of frame this up so we have perspective. People who genuinely, authentically earn their treasures, like rightfully so, remain humble the whole time because they know the hard work it took to get them. Okay? I'm not talking about like internal treasure. I'm talking about like, well, any kind of treasure, anything that you work for, that you get. If you're willing to do the work, you're likely a humble person. These other people, in contrast, don't want to do the work. Okay? So there you might pull in another sin that's discussed in the Bible, which is sloth, right? Which also plays a part in what we're talking about right now. Okay? They just want to take from those who are willing to put in the hard work. All right? So let me just share a Bible verse with you that I feel like illuminates this point further with regards to this mindset of lack. Okay? This is Matthew chapter 25, verse 29. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. Now, in the past, that verse it made no sense to me at all. It kind of sounded like what you might call privilege, like, or that whole saying, you know, it takes money to make money, you know. To him who has, more will be added. It kind of was like, okay, I guess that makes sense. But here we see that it's more of an esoteric type spiritual meaning, numinous meaning. Okay? Excuse me. It's in alignment with faith. It's in alignment with faith versus a mindset of lack. And we're going to expand on that. Excuse me, y'all. I hope you can hear me. I know my voice is not the best right now. I'm trying to get over this congestion I've had. So when it says, for to everyone who has, more will be given, right? But from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. What does it mean when it says everyone who has? Okay? Has what is the question. To me, it's a faith mindset, not a lack mindset. All right, so if you think about what faith is, I saw a little short video on this a few months ago, and I was like, yeah, that's a really good point. Again, it's one of those things where it's, you know, kind of obvious, we know, but I don't think we often take the time to really think about it and remind ourselves, okay, hang on, that's actually really important. Faith isn't required if you have something right here in front of you. If you have it, and it's you know, physically detectable, it's just totally without question discernible, then faith isn't required. Faith is only required when it's not there, but you know it will be there one day, or it's coming, or it's on the way. Okay? So there's the situation we have where there's nothing there, and we have two options. We can view the situation from a mindset of lack, because it's not there. It's true. You are actually lacking it. But it's in here and here. How are you going to view this situation in your heart? Are you going to view it as you're lacking? That's the mindset of lack. Or are you going to view it as, I have faith that even though it's not there now, it will be. Okay? And operating from these two different mindsets produces drastically different results. Okay? So again, there's two options for perceiving a situation like this without material proof. So the faith mindset or the lack mindset, which are you? So recalling that story about the red shoes, you know, if you think about it, it just got me thinking about something, and then I went with it, journaling, you know, just like I always do, to see if it's going to go anywhere and actually produce something that ties in with the message. This is where I feel like you're working in conjunction with a higher power, right? With the Father. If you have a personal relationship, you may call him Father. But it's kind of like if you just are inspired and you go with it, meaning writing it down or start video recording, or if you're an artist, you know, you start painting or you start playing, if you're into musical instruments, whatever it is, if you just start going with it, and then it's kind of like you're opening that door for the numinous to enter into the situation, right? You're now in partnership with the spiritual realm. But so that's what I did here. Thinking about that story, the red shoes, that was just really on my heart. I got to thinking about past generations of people and how they would dress. You know, it was not uncommon for women to wear these beautiful, ornate dresses. You know what I mean? Like today, what we would just only see like in a ballroom, what we would call a ballroom style gown. But, you know, back in the day, this was standard. And you know, men would wear suits just every day, not just for special occasions. And I thought, you know, that's really cool. That's cool because it's, if you think about it, it's almost an act of faith in that way. You know, that you're not waiting for a special occasion. You're treating every day as a special occasion, even though you don't know what the day is going to hold. So, you know, a lot of people might look at this kind of stuff we're talking about right now with, you know, dressing real fancy and everything, or what they might call the old Hollywood look, you know. A lot of people might associate this with like having money, you know, being wealthy, privileged. But if you think about it, even tribes around the world that really operate more from like a trading system, more than money, or a class type situation, system, structure. A lot of tribes, you know, adorn themselves just with beautiful, ornate jewelry and all kind of things. Markings, tattoos, and beautiful clothes. And they're just elaborate. And if you think about even like in fairy tales, you know, think about Alice in Wonderland. She went not just through her everyday life in a dress, this cute little blue dress, but she went down, you know, rabbit holes, literally. She went on this huge grand adventure in a dress. So my point here is this. When society at large takes on the idolization, I think that's how you say it, starts idolizing money and materialism, our focus collectively shifts. Okay, we're going to expand on this in just a minute. Excuse me. But you can look back on what we were just talking about. All these different groups of people throughout history and, you know, all across the globe, all across the world, that they have been motivated to adorn their body in such a way that it was honorable. Why wouldn't they do that? I'm sure there were different points in history and different cultures that did it as a status symbol. I'm not denying that. But if we expand and we see everything as a whole, I feel like there's something within the human mind and heart, spirit, the human spirit, that surfaces in the things we do. And in this example, I believe that we are motivated to adorn our body in such a way that it's beautiful. And I know different cultures have different definitions of what beautiful is, right? And that in itself is beautiful, isn't it? But I believe that it's a way to honor the body, because even if it's not put into language, into words, we know innately that the body is a temple. That it's not just physical only. It's more than that. It's more than that. So, you know, back in my teaching days, what was discussed a lot amongst teachers with regards to wanting to motivate kids, because, you know, we'd have like little treasure boxes and different things, you know, sticker charts and reward charts and certificates and things, you know, which are great. But ultimately, what we wanted to cultivate within our students was something within them that would serve as internal motivation, a spirit of gumption, a spirit of wanting to just be a self-starter. Essentially, an intrinsic desire to succeed. And it's not that material things are bad. Again, I just encourage you to, you know, break any kind of patterns you might catch yourself in. You know, we all have them from conditioning. Try to catch them and break them. If your mind wants to just immediately go, yeah, but, and go to the other end of the spectrum, just trying to catch that. You know what I mean? Because I'm not saying that material rewards are bad. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that what makes us tick should be bigger than that. Let me give you an example. So my dog, Maggie, she's the coolest. She's a rescue dog. And I'm going to tell you, this dog has been with me through thick and thin. And, you know, a lot of times, if you're an animal lover, you'll understand. It feels like sometimes these are angels, angelic spirits sit into our lives to walk the path with us, you know. And as part of that, they have these beautiful characteristics, these beautiful qualities that are great to illustrate my point here, okay? Let me give you an example. If I just say the word treat, that's all I got to say. Oh, she's going to perk up. She's going to start, you know, the big eyes and the head twisting and the jumping, like, yeah. You know, that sounds good. Let's do it. I'll take a treat. Let me, you know, what trick do you want? You know, I can sit, I can shake. She can do all those things. But also, there's times when I don't have any treats. Maybe I'm out. And maybe furthermore, I'm feeling down. And I haven't had a lot to offer her at times. You know? And what's beautiful is these incredible creatures that have to have a numinous aspect. You can't deny it, right? It's in their eyes, it's in their spirit, their heart, their essence shines through in moments like this when you're down. Sometimes they're the first to notice before anybody that claims to care about you. A lot of times, you know, our pets are the first to notice when something's wrong. And what do? They don't just say, well, she doesn't have anything to offer today. Let me just turn around and wait till she goes to the store and buys me some treats. No, they're not motivated by that. They see that we need them. We need their company. And they'll come up to us and they'll just love on us and snuggle with us. And it's so comforting and beautiful, isn't it? If you've experienced that. And if you haven't, I just encourage you to consider adopting from the shelter. Some of the most beautiful pets and companions can be found there. My dog was a $10 special on her last day. Best $10 I've ever spent. That's what I always say. But you know, My point here is love can only come from intrinsic motivation. You can't manipulate love out of a dog through treats, because as soon as they get the treats, they're gonna be like, thanks, and go and lay down and sunbathe or whatever they like to do, right? They love treats. They're not going to turn away from them, but that's not what motivates them. It's sad to think about, even in animals, you know, it can be easily found, this intrinsic motivation, but yet not always in people. So we have to be intrinsically motivated. We don't have to, but it's good to have intrinsic motivation. So I looked up the word intrinsic. You know I did. In the online etymology dictionary here. So intrinsic means inward, internal, and also, this was really cool. And this is the secret part of the message, the unveiling today with the message here. The parts of the term, the word intrinsic rather, the pieces that make up that word, intrinsic, mean not just inward, not just internal, but following and alongside. What does that bring to mind? See, I've said it many times on my channel, and this is my truth, and I just invite you to sit with it and consider it, if it feels right to be truth in your life. It's my truth that we weren't created to go it alone. It's my belief that we were created to experience this human life alongside and following something greater than us, something that loves us beyond human limited comprehension. Not just a thing. You can't have a relationship with a thing, but an aware and intentional being. So to me, this is the difference in going about your life creating versus co-creating. Because co means together and with. When you were co-creating, that's what gives you that internal light. That's what makes you shine. Okay, it's like having sunshine inside of you. Which reminds me of that song, I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. Right? So why is that? Why, metaphorically and realistically, why does having light inside of us sustain us? Because light is sustaining. Why? Because you think about plants. Plant's not going to make it. Put it in a dark closet. It's got to have some light. That's what feeds it. See? That's what drives it to grow. Which, that's the only job a plant has, is to grow. We can grow, but we can do a lot more than that too. But we need that motivation. We need that food, that manna, that spiritual bread. See? So, if there's no light in a person, there's nothing for love, real love, to be rooted in. At that point, it becomes transactional. So, light is sustaining for life. And not only that, but it's necessary. Okay? If you have light inside, you have a sense of completeness. You have a sense of wholeness. Therefore, you can't have a mindset of lack. And therefore, you're not going to be showing qualities of envy and lust and greed and gluttony and wrath and pride. You're going to be balanced. You're going to be sustained. And the thing is, as much as we want others to have it too, we can't make them have it. We can't put it in there ourselves. We can try. We can try. But if you've tried, and especially if you've tried for many years, you're going to understand the consequences of that. And not only the consequences of that, but the literal, actual danger in that. All right? So the thing is about this treasure inside. It's an eternal treasure, and it can only be found internally. What's interesting is, if you look at all these myths and folklore, fairy tales, stories throughout time, cultures, different cultures, it's not made inside of us. It's not something that we can hijack the credit for, try to take the credit for, because we did it. We have to find it. It's already there. It already exists. Which again, who has this forever existing quality? You know, always is, always has been, always will be. Who is that? What is that? It's only one thing. It's the Creator. It's God. The Alpha and Omega. That's it. There's no substitute. So it can only be found. He can only be found. I say he because, to me, I think the relationship part is key. Okay? So again, I just encourage you, if you have interest, to take a look at all these stories and myths of old, and you'll see that it's a quest to find the treasure, not to make the treasure, you know. Yeah, I know the red shoes, the handmade red shoes were handmade, but they were constructed with the material she already had. You see what I'm saying? So that contentment can likewise be constructed within our own conscious awareness from the light that already exists within us. That's the material piece. Okay, that's the foundation. So, yes. And, you know, I want to break this down further in the next few videos for you all, just kind of through different lenses, but I hope that this has been entertaining and inspiring for you. I hope that it's been encouraging and motivating even, and I hope mostly that it got the wheels turning, and that I gave you guys something to just take and run with and look into further, or to journal on, and to just bring down deeper into your awareness, and that you're able to gain understanding. And I hope that it just results in some great peace for you. I bought some cool books, and I can't wait to share them with you. So this is one, A Year of Zen, and it's sayings, parables, and meditations, right? And haiku. So I think that's a type of poetry. But it's really cool, and I know the year's almost gone, but I thought, you know, I could just flip through and let, you know, the Spirit, Holy Spirit guide me and show me what, you know, what I need to share that day. So I'm excited to go through and share this with you. And then I also bought this other book, and it's called The Book of Symbols. And these were both found on Amazon. So this one is going to be very special, I think, because it's like a dictionary of symbols, and the quality of this book is incredible. It's just the paper itself, the prints are awesome. It's got just tons of artwork that's just really elaborate, and it just kind of goes through different aspects that are found in these fairy tales, folklore, and even in our dreams. So, which I've shared with you all on a post recently on my community page. I would definitely be interested in assessing, you know, messages that are meant to come through to our conscious awareness that are told to us through our dreams. So that might be something that I'll offer for you all soon. We'll see. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, your feedback. But yeah, these books are found on Amazon, so I just encourage you to take a look. And so thank you again. I hope that you enjoyed the message. I hope that you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you again very soon.